too long have they fooled us about the satanic elite. Too long have they fooled us as to what being religious actually is. Too long have they fed us with this divisiveness, this victim mentality, this guilt mentality, as if you're a perpetrator without having actually have done anything. Too long have they separated us from this idea that our rulers should be physically qualified, that they should be mentally qualified, that they should be morally qualified. They say they know who the enemy is, but have they ever worked for us? They speak of a new world order. They speak of national interests, but is that the, the real interest here? There is an undercurrent that they're probably not aware of, because whether they have spiritual awareness or not, there are sides being taken. And basically, we don't have a system by and for the people. We don't have a system that is for any particular religious system either. It's whatever ends these people want. And I am here with Saturnal Mage, our Lzwvmmh, Inauguration. And
however it's pronounced, as long as it's not Ezekiel 23:20.
Yes. The so basically my point, just like 4 years ago, was that, whatever religion you're looking at, we don't have those governments. So yeah. So what? So aside from any any particular names, any particular parties, because obviously I'm trying to go beyond that. Like this graphic here, you can't read it, but I guess this goes into something we're talking about, because the ancient Egyptians, their name for God often included a flag.
Oh, what?
The word for God, there's two ways to look at it. There's a flag, and the standard word of God, there's a flag or there's a battle axe. And the flag is basically your banner. What side are you showing? How are you showing it? Like, for example, in the early Islamic community, those people with the stars and the suns and the moons and stuff on their flags were the people who fought them. Now, this flag resembles the religious flag that was a peacetime flag that's been recently changed, but I altered this flag because basically Satan, the messenger of the lower worlds, basically, because
very lower indeed.
Because if you, it's like the worlds are a means. Our minds, we don't have to criticize our minds or our bodies or the outer world or anything like this. But if they, just like in some of the lectures that I've, what?
Okay. I said, sorry, I cannot find a spot for me.
Just like some of the things that I have brought up is that, illusion and delusion. It's not that the basic Hindu belief is that we have, the material world is just some illusion. No, it's the use of it. When you think the material world is it for itself, and that's what we're finding right now, is that we're finding blood and soil movements, where people, whether their ancestry is real, whether they're ancient, whether there was some sort of ancient ties, your ancestors ruled this land or not, that's not the point. That shouldn't give you the authority, and that certainly doesn't make you inherently better than anybody else. But there's a lot of this whole blood and soil thing. on the other hand, there's people who are fanatical in the sense that they'll claim a religion, but it's a title only. So you don't, even when it comes to something as basic as prayer, they can't pray together or whatever. And there's people who just love their country so much that they don't even care about what's right and wrong, even actions of their country. Can I get victory for my country? And in an ultimate sense, you don't want to be the tyrants, even if you think you can win for a few years. That's not, even if you can think you can win for 100 years, you don't want your country to be the plague upon the earth.
Right.
Like people saying, oh, our country only pollutes 54% of the pollution, so let's get all the other countries to fix themselves because there's still a pretty bad problem if we fix ourselves. It's like, no, that's no excuse. And one of the things that people find is like, regardless of your country, regardless of your ancestry, you have, there's good and bad people, and that's their choice.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's the gift of free will that was God given.
And one of the things I don't remember where it is in the Bible, that bit where it has Jesus like, basically, this is not my kingdom, because they're like,
yeah,
it's not that there can't be a spiritual government. That wasn't the point for him to just conquer and everything else, because one of the things going around at this time was like that there was going to be a Messiah figure, not that the Messiah was going to be like anointed like the other ones, but he was going to be like just some big conqueror and let our people be in charge of this area or period again. And that's like, that wasn't the point. The point was to liberate people, to give people what they needed to liberate themselves. Like you find in this in Isaiah. In Isaiah, it wasn't that there's going to be some vicarious atonement. It was that there was going to be a teacher that was going to shepherd people and allow them to, give them the opportunity, give them the knowledge to redeem themselves. Like the day that this was going to go up is a day that we have some of the libraries that were closed are scheduled to reopen, but they're shutting things down because they want people to have certain information right now. Like they can't just pick up a book at the bookstore or go on the internet themselves. But the Turks before the secularization, they had this idea. One of the best ways to prevent tyranny was education. So you educated the people, and that prevented and that helped there from being problems. And they made sure that rich or poor, if you qualified, you went to school. The best schooling was for the people who passed the test. Oh, these are going to be the best students. Let's take them, and teach them. And that's really how it should be, rather than just oh, you're one color or another, we're going to give you different opportunities. It's like, if you qualify, if you pass the test better than other people, you should get the education.
Do I remind you of anybody in particular with money?
Oh, you're hinting at somebody, yes.
Ezekiel 23:20. What does it mean?
Well, I've pointed out before. What is it? Is it 1 Timothy 3:16? I think that one has a pretty good concept here. Oh, I totally lost my passage. Oh, I'm going to have to put more tape in my Bible. Okay. And sadly, the piety missed. Okay, it's 2 Timothy 3:16. Okay, my favorite 3:16 of the Bible, because this is a pretty good criteria. Every scripture is God-inspired, profitable for teaching, for conviction, for correction, for discipline, which is in righteousness. So that's a pretty fair thing. If you're going to look at something spiritually, how does it fit into those categories? So if it tells some story about, I don't think it's a good example, like, for example, to have some woman sleep her way to the top and be super suspicious and I understand why they kicked why some people didn't want the book of Esther in the Bible, because it doesn't mention
I
God.
don't know what the Book of Esther is, but we can talk about that, I guess.
It doesn't mention God, and it has this woman sleep her way to the top, and when she gets to the top, she's super suspicious and has people killed without evidence.
Wow.
And
That
basically,
reminds me of the park that I remember from my childhood, Esther Short Park, but that's another topic. I remember that's a really sad story about why they named that park after Esther.
that's the one on
Died
the
in the
other.
bathroom or something.
What?
But anyway, it was because she died in the bathroom or something. I think that was why they named the park after her. Pretty weird, but anyway. I wouldn't want the park named after me that, somebody murdered me or whatever. But yeah.
And if things have been named something for like 150 years, why in the world rename them just for political? That's nonsense. And you know what in the Bible it talks about wearing blue and purple stripes. You know what that's about?
No.
Well, the Yazidi were not allowed to. The Satanists, they worship Shah Etan, and Shah Etan means cast out of a place, and basically rebelled against God. Didn't want to bow to Adam. That's because God said, "Oh no, I don't want to show that level of respect to that. I'm a superior being, basically." But basically, these people took the side of we're approaching year 6,771. This is the longest running religious calendar in the world.
But what is that according to? I don't understand that.
They believe that Malik Taus, basically an agent for Ahriman, came down and taught them a black book of scripture, which has passed, which is obviously was a bigger book than what they have, but they start their calendar by that incarnation. And before that there was a big snake with a white spot. And there was also an incarnation where there was a big dog with a white spot. Like the set statues in Egypt, that big dog with the weird black spot
or whatever it is. Yeah.
So basically, yeah, there's all sorts of the NBC. Is it NBC that has that peacock? And
yeah,
so the
PBS. I don't know. They're all crazy now. I don't know.
The Moloch worship in the Bible. Now, I do agree there's issues. It's like persecuting the people isn't really the answer. But why millions of people with a religion can be killed, and that's like not so big of a deal. And now they're like, oh, the Yazidi. Oh, because because NBC and stuff are using symbolism of devil worship among their stuff. So that's one of the things there. And we have the the cause. What's that word for the there? I said it I mentioned it in the poem I was sharing the other day. And basically there's beings that existed before us. The Bible talks about them. It's harder to tell in the Bible because it's harder to tell them apart, but it talks about a being. It talks about a type of being that's like fire. It's like Psalm. What?
Just kidding. I was just joking. I said beans, like lima beans. There needs to be a commercial break right now because you got to see my cat. So everybody is sitting in her house.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Everybody likes cats. It'll raise your views.
Well, you know my video. I don't know if you saw my video I did the other year. I'm like, how to summon a cat spirit, and then I go, how to appease a cat spirit, and so I'm petting the cat with my feet, and yeah. I mean, I was dead serious. I had a lesson, but it's like, The Psalm 49:3, it says basically there's a like the clayman, again a fire, unite rich, and something understood the plan. So it mentions there's verses in the Bible that mention these beings that are like fire. So it doesn't say as much about Satan as you might think, but it kind of does more when you look at it. That there's beings out there, and these beings, they were here before human beings were. So in a way, some of them, they're anti-cosmic. Some of them are misanthropic.
How do we know they were here before?
What?
How do we know they were here before humans? Because doesn't the beginning of the Bible speak about how God created like the first being or whatever after like the trees and the sea? Sorry, I had to call my cat.
Well, not everything's in one place. That's one of the things people don't get about scriptures is that it even the Bible that's supposed to be like in more or less chronological order, not everything's in one place. Like
I can't focus because Mary's so cute.
Oh.
With that marbling.
And another one of these is Isaiah 44:9-20. Human qualities and demiurges, basically.
I really have to have a break.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so one verse I think that very much relates is from Yeshayahu 41. Nechmu, Ami, Yammer, Alhikim. So rather than your typical translation, this really means regret and repent, and you'll be my people, says divinity. I mean, you're God. So Alhi, your God, and come, but that's one of the points I want to get across, is that this idea that you're, that a nation or a religious group or whatever is automatically God's people forever, no matter what, or no, perfecting that blackness on this flag here, that's the perfecting stage. Is it may be difficult to do the right thing or do what you're supposed to do, but you're going to do it. It's not an artificial difficulty, it's a difficulty with the cause. Maybe you're having to turn away from something that was part of your life. But how would you, I've really done a significant amount, I mean, far more than my, if we were to say half and half here, what would you say a spiritually run society? What ideas would you have for that?
How to, or what's happening?
Why what we have isn't run on spiritual or religious principles, and what we would have to do, that sort of thing.
Well, I think there's such thing as spiritual warfare, and there's two sides, obviously good and bad. We definitely need to connect more to the good, because this realm is not doing so well in all aspects, really. Planetary, spiritually, physically, emotionally.
And considering what's going on, I think this,
I don't know where I'm going with that, but
and considering what's going on, all this stuff with control and censorship and denial and oppression and all that stuff, it's not the time to give up. That's why that's why these people have been able to get the control that they've said. That they've
fighting. Hold on. Get her, man. Sorry.
People
fight really hard sometimes.
People right now are literally chanting in Israel. It's like, it's time for the Messiah. Bring us the Messiah. It's like, even America's our protector, and America's about to get,
Well, what's interesting to me is like one of the memes, primarily on probably like iFunny or Imager or whatever, one of the trending memes is hearing the trumpets across the world, like shocked face.
Oh,
But
that's
you know,
that's
I
the
don't know
that's
what
the
to do with it.
freaky thing. I never heard it before I went out here, and every single time there's a not every time I hear it, within 24 hours there's a earthquake at Yellowstone that people feel.
There was a giant earthquake recently. Where was that? It was like a 6 or 7.
And there was
Where
like
was that?
there was like
Ecuador? I don't remember.
like on the 23rd of December. I don't remember what night at the moment, but there was I heard that weird trumpet sound at night, like one of those Tibetan sort of, but it's like some sort of weird trumpet sound that goes on
I
for.
heard something about a month ago coming from the sky. I thought, is there a helicopter? Is there a plane? What is that? Like my brain could not compute what that noise was. So I ran to my window trying to figure it out. And it was an extremely gray, still overcast day, but I could hear what seemed to be like frequency. And then it just stopped. And I'm like, all right, well, I'd like to keep my sanity. So
Yeah.
I'll pray about it and go on with my day.
Well, that's one of the things. There's frequencies out there that it's like they have effects on us, and it's like they're playing around with it. It seems almost.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well be a created thing, just like how they create clouds and, you know, those really loud cloud machines. I'm not saying that's what it is, but they have abilities. You know, they've made things we don't know about, I'm sure. So who's to say what it is or isn't, or if it's trickery, you know?
Well, that's the thing. Real or fake, whether what our perception is, it's what I mean. It's how we interpret and use things that are taking us places. And oh, you got out some bubble thing.
I blow bubbles as stress relief. It's like a childhood cigarette.
Maybe that's why they have that filter on the phones and stuff, that you can just set it to have bubbles over your video.
I love bubbles.
Because if you I don't know if you've seen any of my journal live streams, but when I switched to sharing a dictionary or something like that, sometimes I will flip over and have the bubble feature or the dance party feature or something, to distinguish in between.
There are these light bulbs that you can buy for probably well under $10 or so, maybe 20 for a double pack, but it has a little tiny remote control and you can turn it on, off, and you can change the whole spectrum of the rainbow to the color. It's pretty cool. I actually want to get one for my living room lamp.
I got a bunch of these really bright LEDs, like brighter than any light I've ever
Hi,
had
Pip.
access to. I mean, maybe that's not the right thing, because I've been inside of buildings that like had buildings like the whole like church or something, and so maybe there were brighter lights at some, but
I'm covering the brand, but it's Bubble Nip. It's catnip scented bubbles, and my cats love them. But yeah, I don't know if you'd like those because you like catnip, but it's safe and non-toxic. You could get your average neighborhood cat to like you.
One of the things that you know why I got into the whole ancient alien stuff and all that? It was because I really wasn't given a view of religion that encompass. By religion, I mean I don't mean, you know, I have to spend 10% of my income because this guy's better than me or something like this, and I have to pay a salary.
Yeah, that's what the I won't say where I am, but that's what one of the local Christian churches recommend, is that you pay 10% of your monthly income towards the pastor, his wife, and their children's for their monthly income. And they've got let's just say they've got a really nice house and brand new cars, and
Yeah, pretty much
all the
every
church
church.
members
And
have taken one of the
that's the
local
thing.
apartment buildings.
If you read the Bible, it's criticizing these professional priests left and right. Jesus, Isaiah, Jeremiah.
Could be living ordinarily like everybody else in the church and doing some good for the community, or helping some of the local homeless, or even opening a shelter, and they're just living luxuriously. Now I don't know, you know, if I can
Most
truly complain, because what am I doing? But
most
I wouldn't.
churches have taken on this model, and with government too. I don't think I don't think politicians should be like, oh, we let's earn twice as much as the average salary, and you know that sort of thing. I don't think that that's really the role of politicians either.
I really wish they didn't close the only local homeless shelter within the last maybe 10 or 15, 20 miles from here. But the building went up for sale, and all the homeless are just way worse, doing way worse, laying on the street, yelling at the bushes, just.
Yeah. Well, that's
we're a little bit, safer and concealed from the General Republic as well.
Well, look at what's been said. Certain people have said we can't let this president look good, so we're going to vote down stuff about food and money relief. We're going to throw in stuff here and there. We're not going to cut that. We're not going to stop riots in the street because that will make him look good. And it's like you got it as a politician. One of your jobs is to forget being reelected. Do your best, regardless of what you think. What you think is going to be. If your campaign funding, your political party is going to drop out, but you're going to accomplish something good for society, accomplish something good. Just don't be somebody that's filled the position for years.
Yeah, I mean, it's all theatrical. It's all pre-planned. That's what I believe.
And just like the days where you had professional priests trying to tax people as much as they could. Oh, pay 10% of your income, and also and we'll divide it amongst ourselves. And some of it could go towards good uses. That's some of it naturally had to, but and then they try to get donations on top of that for people who could get more. But like a lot of churches will try to do a double tithe. You know how to get really pious and how to get really prosper in the eyes of God is to pay 20% of your income to us. And and government's been doing the same thing as government has been figuring out how to tax people more and give them less, a lower percentage to the roads and all this stuff. And that's what all the they could tax the government, the American people far less if they just said, oh, government function, period. No more corporate welfare, no more cut back on these wars that aren't self-defense wars, and just
excuse me,
because I think not even taxing the people in the first place, and that encourages generosity.
Yeah,
it's like if people are relying on the government and insurance packages and stuff, they're spending their money towards that, and they're being edged towards that, and they don't do what's good for themselves and others. It's like it used to be, people would group together to help someone build a house and all this stuff. And now we all.
I guess I'll tell you when we're done here, but I don't know. I think we could talk about this sort of stuff with a different friend of mine, maybe for a future thing, because I think he'd have a lot of interesting, valid inputs.
But basically, to make it clear, living ethically starts with yourself. It's not that you necessarily go around forcing all your religious values to everybody else's. Okay,
this is my baby. His name is Alfred.
I had an Alf doll, and it apparently it was still around 20 years later among my parents and among my mother's property. And yeah, I had a dog finally got it. A dog got it when it was worth like $200 or something. But but gradually, our whole lives can be part of this spiritual relationship. We regard the rights of ourselves. We regard the rights of others. no
And the
government,
aminals, save
and the animals and
the
stuff
aminals.
and
They didn't do
stuff
nothing.
too. Part of our thing, if we don't treat ourselves right with how we eat and stuff, this is what the environmental problem is based on, that people aren't living ethically, period. That's it. Because if they were, how they ate would affect, the environment wouldn't have quite the problems with that.
Oh, we should have my snail on the show another day. I need to clean out his cage today. It's getting awfully stinky in there.
But I think we're rambling, so I will. So unless Saturnal Mage or Lzwvmmh has some further thoughts here, we'll close. So do you have any closing statements?
Regardless of what's happening, turn off your TV, take a walk outside, and just reconnect. Because everything is temporary and everything will pass. So don't stress.
Yeah, we definitely need to take charge of our own views.
Mm-hmm.
And
just be appreciative of the sunshine and the clean air, and really focus on the good.
And if you have to watch the news or something, it's available 24 hours. Get some sleep.
Yeah, I would suggest actually not watching it more than maybe twice a month. That's really all you need. The rest is just stressful propaganda, brainwashery.
As I
remember why the television programs were called programs. They program your thoughts.
And sometimes the information's right in front of you and they're telling you something different, and you're like going along with whatever their conclusion is. Not even with the right information are people making the right conclusions. And
well, any of the information being given out usually isn't right anyway.
But they're isolating us not for self-awareness, but isolating us to keep us from getting together and and working together like people should. Like,
eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, drink your spring water. Laugh. Tons of laughter.
Is that the show? The name Fran? Yeah.
Oh, that sounded like Peter Griffin. Never mind. That was terrible. I looked so gross. I looked at myself in the eyes while I was doing it.
Okay.